conversation. Well, hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome into Talkback. It is Thursday. This week's gone by fairly quickly. I'm Al Quartermont, joined as usual by Stephen Maxwell on the other side of the microphone as we're getting ourselves ready to jump on our live stream on Facebook. You can also watch us there or listen along. So many options.
Hey, we're there now.
You can listen to us on 970 AM. That is our primary source, 1049 FM. We also are on 100.3 HD3 if you have an HD radio in your car. My wife has one in her van, so I have it programmed to that. You can listen to us at kswl.com on the live stream. You can listen through the app. You can watch us on Facebook, and you can also watch us on YouTube.
You can do a live studio audience. You can stand outside the glass.
That's true. That is true.
I'm joking. You cannot do that.
Yeah, they wouldn't let you in the building. But,
probably not.
I mean, they might, depending on who you are.
You bring donuts.
Yeah, it's true.
We'll let more people in like that.
Yeah, you definitely like your breakfast foods, don't you?
Yeah, I do. all times of day, too.
Yeah, Steven's usually begging for someone to bring donuts.
I don't need them, though. You notice I don't really bring them very
nobody needs
often.
Donuts. I mean, it's not like a sustenance
I don't know.
issue kind of thing.
Lots of oil and grease. I like a good maple donut. Not maple bacon. Just maple.
Okay.
Maple glaze. And a bear claw. Bear claw is my favorite.
Yeah. So I want to thank, yesterday I had a chance to speak. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service had a meeting yesterday where they bring in all of their field reps for the USDA, and they had me come in to talk about communications. So that was kind of cool, and we had a good time. They asked some great questions. There was a guy that looked exactly like Shane Gillis while I'm giving this speech, and I could not stop. So after this speech, I asked him, I said, does anyone ever say you look like Shane Gillis? And he goes, well, I didn't think I was that fat. I was like, I'm like, no, you don't, you look like a slim version of him.
Oh my goodness.
But he did. He looked just like him. It was so hilarious. But to your point of having breakfast donuts, one of the women who asked me to come and speak, she made me this nice peach cobbler.
Oh, nice.
So I brought it in. It's in.
Oh, really?
It's
okay.
Yeah. So,
nice peach cobbler.
So if you want to attack that later this morning.
I do like a good peach cobbler.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Oh,
it truly is. So
thank you so much, lady.
Yeah. So thanks to Adrena Lang and Kristen Lemoyne for inviting me. We had a great time, and it's fun because communication is one of those things I like to talk about now. I've always taught classes in the broadcast realm, the journalism realm, but a couple of years ago, I was tasked with changing basically our public speaking class at LCU into what we call modern communication. And so it kind of combines business communication along with speech, and then we have a component on media literacy as well. So it's a really fun class. I think it's an interesting class. And the whole speech side of it was something I didn't really know. I mean, I know how to give a speech, but there's a difference between being able to do something and understanding all the components that go into it. So learning all that so that you can help people that have never done it before how to do it the right way. And so that kind of translated into some of what I talked about yesterday at that meeting. Just being a good communicator, which one of the keys is being a good listener. And that's such a skill that's being lost today.
You can do wonders if you just be quiet and listen. People respect it. And people love to talk about themselves. They love when you listen to them talk about themselves.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Wait, what'd you say? Just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
And we talked about distractions, what keeps people from being effective listeners. Of course, probably the number one thing right now, our cell phones.
What you're looking at as you're speaking.
I know. Wait, what'd you say?
It's tough, though.
Yeah.
Do you like going and speaking at places? Like, honestly.
I actually do.
It?
Yeah.
Okay. So you look forward to it.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I kind of enjoy that dynamic. It's, people think, if you're on TV and you're talking to audiences of thousands at any given point, that it should be easier for you to give up and make a speech. But actually, it it's more intimidating to do it in person when you have an audience
100%.
looking at you. When you're talking to the television camera, you feel like you're just talking to one person, essentially.
Yeah.
But speaking in front of people, that's a little different because all eyes are on you.
I would say the hardest part, like you said, I completely agree with that. But the hardest part of like TV news is when you're like in a media gaggle, right? Or you're like a riser with all the media there at the same place, and you're all doing live shots at the same time and talking with each other. I don't mind doing like live shots in front of like a crowd,
right?
Because you're still talking to a camera.
Yeah.
And giving speeches. I mean, I've done a few of them in my years of this, but I don't know. I hate being interviewed, and I hate, and it is more intimidating doing speeches for sure. I'll talk to a camera all day, I don't know.
You just got to pretend like it's a different form of conversation. That's how I coach my students. You have conversations all day long with people. Just pretend like you're having a conversation with just your audience and treat them like they're one person.
That's true. I would just do like 30 minutes of self-deprecating jokes. That's what I would do.
I could see you doing that. So things to avoid, for example, watch your uhs and your ums and your you knows. Those we call verbal fillers.
Oh, yeah.
And I notice a lot of times in speaking, when people come to the end of a thought, next thought,
it's tough.
And some people, man, like Craig Counsell used to be the manager of the Brewers. Now he's the manager of the Cubs because he's a Judas. But he's the worst. I'm so glad that I don't have to listen to his press conferences anymore, because his press conferences are like, we just didn't, I guess we didn't play so well, and it just drives me crazy. Just talk.
Well, I've noticed working in the broadcast industry, you always kind of find everyone's verbal tics, like they're fillers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know yours.
I know mine. It's so.
Yeah.
I remember Fletcher Mackley used to work at KLB, and now he's down at WDSU in New Orleans. He's always like, because he has that yet. But yeah, I do notice that. And ever since I heard you say that, now I catch myself doing it. So I'm endeavoring to not do it.
Mine in conversation is anyway.
Anyways.
I like to say anyway at the end.
Yeah, when I first met you, you'd say anyways. And
I might still use it now.
Now you say anyway.
I'm going back to it.
Yeah, there's always just kind of that awkward moment because we don't like silence. Silence is awkward, especially for people in Western cultures. So they're always looking to fill it with something.
Yeah, and that's a good interviewer technique.
Yeah.
Is
silence.
You let silence do the work.
Yeah.
You just don't follow up with a question immediately, and sometimes people will fill it in with more information.
Yes. I don't know. You remember I coached you on that.
Yeah.
Good job.
I remember those things, and I use it all the time.
It is effective.
Yeah.
It is effective.
I'm a natural. When I'm having a conversation, I'm a natural. I have to get my word in. Like my whole family is like that. It's really annoying. The Boyettes, my mom's side, they're just talk over you.
Really?
And I catch myself doing it too. I'm like, I can't do that. Shut up. It's tough.
So, I don't see your dad being that way. Your dad?
No, he's the opposite.
He's so quiet.
If you try and talk over him, he'll just stop talking and won't talk for like a week. He'll take it personal.
Holds it as a grudge.
He's like, okay, I guess what I have to say isn't important. So
right.
Just keep on blabbering on.
Okay. I feel like our current president's a pretty good natural speaker. He loves talking.
I mean, sometimes his words come off as like he's not uneducated, but just stilted. But yeah, he'll talk. I mean, he's an effective communicator, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't get that to that level if you're...
He's one of those people, there's never a microphone that he's met that he didn't like.
I can imagine.
Kind of thing.
Well, he says it's the weave, right? It could be like a 20-minute roundabout on what he's trying to, the point he's trying to make.
That's true. That is true. Well, he got directly to the point on his Truth Social this morning. He says, I've instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024. People who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Let's just redistrict the whole country while we're at it. I don't know. I mean...
I wonder, though, if the whole Democrats' ploy isn't going to maybe backfire them on a little bit. talking about what they're doing with Texas, because now it's called attention to this issue on a greater level, and people are starting to look at it like Massachusetts has come out in support, and then people are looking at Massachusetts and they're like, wait, you have like 40% Republicans in your state and you have 0 Republican districts. How is that even possible?
Well, it could be the same situation in Louisiana where they're trying to find a majority black district.
Yeah.
And you can't because they're just spread out.
Maybe that's a fair point.
Yeah.
But
we always have
Republicans
these, like, little
are people
talking
too,
points.
Stephen.
Yes.
They deserve representation, do they not?
We can just like do a big old snake district or something for Massachusetts. I can almost guarantee you Massachusetts is pretty liberal. So it's probably almost
very
accurate.
Yeah, and in Maryland, there was one of their congresswomen. She was coming out in support, and then somebody posted a picture of what her district looks like. It's just, it's obviously gerrymandered. So the whole issue of gerrymandering has become much more in focus right now. And as people are seeing this, they're asking questions.
And it's something we've all, well, not all, but a lot of us have talked about who've been involved with politics, but this has never been a big issue. And that's what I was saying yesterday. I think it's great that we're talking about it.
Speaking of which, coming up at 8:05, we'll be joined in the studio by State Treasurer John Fleming, who is running for the U.S. Senate seat that will be up for re-election next year with Bill Cassidy. And I know he's been talking about this issue, so we can ask him. There are a lot of topics that he's been pretty vocal about. So I'm looking forward to our interview with him coming up at 8:05. In the meantime, we'll take your calls at 442-8255 on the BOM Bank talk line. The other big thing that's been going on in the news, have you seen what's been going on with the WNBA the last few days?
No.
You haven't at all?
No,
Seriously?
I swear.
Okay, so I have to be careful here how I say this.
Makes me a bad talk show host. Oh, is it about, I saw a tweet this morning from the Indiana Fever player.
Sophie Cunningham?
Yes. Yeah. Does it have to do with something that you would buy in an adult store?
Yes.
But I didn't know what the context was, and I didn't feel like looking it up.
So the context is like 10 days ago during a WNBA game, somebody threw onto the court one of these objects that you would, purchase at an adult novelty store.
Gotcha.
And it was of a bright green variety.
Okay.
So it kind of stood out. Mm-hmm. And that led to, of course, right away, some memes and AI videos and things. But then it happened again. And then it happened again. And I think it happened again last night. So it's becoming, in fact, there are now odds being placed, you can bet, like through sports books, the odds of it happening again this next particular night. It's just getting, it's if you're on X, it's wild, the memes that are on there about it.
What is the movie, like Idiocracy?
Yeah. But they've arrested a couple of people already for this. In fact, I saw just this morning an 18-year-old has been arrested for throwing one of these at Sophie Cunningham. The game, I think that was Tuesday night, perhaps. And somebody put on the comment, bro got arrested for being the most accurate shooter at a WNBA game.
Wow.
The poor WNBA, they just...
I think it's good for them. We're talking about it. No one ever talked about the WNBA.
That's true, but it's between
not this certain circumstance.
Between that and the player's wig that fell off the other night during a game.
No, I didn't see that.
It's like, they're getting attention, but I don't know it's the kind of attention that they really want. So, but memes that are just going out are pretty hilarious right now.
Obviously, the adult toy thing is not good, but I'll show me the memes, Lord. But I have heard about the WNBA more than I ever have in my life.
And the crazy thing is, Caitlin Clark's not even playing right now. She's been injured. I mean, her sophomore year here, or her second year in the WNBA, has been marred by injuries. She really hasn't played that much, but it's getting some attention.
Yeah. I'm still probably not going to watch.
No?
Have you been watching?
No. Not at all.
You've been busy with your bustling Brewers.
That's right. It's baseball season.
Baseball.
But when Caitlin Clark plays, I do like watching her. If I happen to notice there's a game on and she's playing and the Brewers aren't playing, I'll stop and watch it. But it hasn't been happening much this year.
I don't know, man. It would have to be, I don't know. There would have to be, you have to force me to sit there to turn on a WNBA game. Like, that's just not going to cross my mind. Ever.
It's not top of mind for you.
Or NBA.
I was going to say, I mean, the NBA isn't much better at this point.
NBA or WNBA.
From that standpoint.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I would definitely watch baseball before that. But I probably wouldn't watch that either.
I know, you'd watch the Savannah Bananas.
No, I wouldn't.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way. Well, good morning. Our Thursday, pretty much a sunny day and hot. Afternoon highs near 95. That heat index about 101 for the afternoon high. And we could see an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, but only about a 20% chance of that. Winds out of the northeast at about 5 this afternoon. Tonight, clear skies down to 74. And tomorrow, really more of the same. Sunshine highs 95 and that chance of an afternoon shower. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BON Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BON Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL.
All right, welcome back on Talkback. Al Quartermont, Stephen Maxwell, 442-8255. Let's talk about what Stephen covered in the news yesterday. What did you cover? Do you remember?
We spoke to the Pineville High principal,
the new principal at Pineville High School.
John Neal.
Yeah.
He took over for Carl Carpenter. So he's excited and just kind of got some background on him and as he's getting ready for his first day.
Yeah.
So he was the assistant principal for about 10 years and before that lead teacher. He says it wasn't a job that he was ever like dreaming of or looking for. It just kind of happened and he's excited to have it.
Kind of like with you here on Talkback.
I guess so. I actually always loved Talkback. I listened for years. And so it's pretty cool.
All right. So you would
wanted to do
consider
it.
this your dream job then?
Being with y'all is my dream of life.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah,
good.
there
So we have that going for us,
Okay.
which is nice.
And then I talked about the LHSAA Oversight Committee with
Yeah.
State Representative Mike Johnson. It came from some backlash from state lawmakers over the LHSAA, how they operate. You know, it's a private company that oversees, you know, tens of thousands of student athletes and gets a lot of taxpayer dollars. So there's been some concerns with LHSAA, and they are having monthly meetings, and they will give a report before the next legislative session to kind of come up with some maybe reform efforts that they could come up with. And they found a body just outside of Alexandria on Larkspur Drive. We don't really have any details on that yet, but I went out there to check it out. Obviously a sad situation, but you can find those videos on Stephen Maxwell TV on Facebook and Cenla Broadcasting on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Yeah, I saw where RPSO said there was no indication of any kind of public threat from that discovery. They say a neighbor smelled an unusual odor and called police, and they came out there. Wow.
So.
All right. What about today? What's on the agenda for today?
I'm going to the appreciation luncheon where State Treasurer John Fleming is going to. They're going to honor some of the local leaders in town. I think you're going to. There are some things that have not been confirmed yet, but hopefully will be confirmed in the next couple of moments.
You just take you where the news leads you is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, some days start off like, man, I have nothing going on. It turns into a whole thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Saw where Governor Landry yesterday hosted Surgeon General Ralph Abraham and LDH Secretary Bruce Greenstein on his Diner Days podcast. I didn't even know the governor did a podcast. Did you? Okay.
Yeah. I've never watched it.
They did it at Prejean's and Broussard, talking about USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins signing Louisiana's SNAP waiver and what it means for the state. So you saw, I know that there have been big changes to SNAP in terms of what you can and can't buy now. Someone posted a video yesterday. It was a lady trying to check out with her SNAP benefits card at a Walmart, and they're like, "Oh, you can't get that." You know, it was all candy and just junk food. So you can't get that anymore, apparently, on SNAP benefits.
Yeah, makes sense. The only argument that I've heard about it is, sometimes kids from families that don't have a lot of money, they're going out to events and different things and schools without those, and the other kids have them. That's the only really good reason I've ever heard. So if it helps us, eat healthier, I'm all for it.
So it hurts their esteem to not have like a Reese's bar with them?
I guess so. If a 5-year-old doesn't have it, but all the kids are getting treats, it might become like an issue. You know how kids are. But that's the really only good reason I've heard.
An opportunity for others to share.
Okay. A 5-year-old can't, go to work and buy his own Reese's. So, that's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, I mean, I think we should all be eating healthier. And
I don't know. You ever seen that picture of a kid? This from like in the early 1900s. Looks like he's working like in a coal mine or something. He's like smoking a pipe. Have you seen that picture?
It's a different world, man.
That is, yeah.
We are in a different world.
Yeah, so. But I guess, to be honest, I would be for this. It's just tough when, I've been that guy, and there are probably other guys that are out there, and women too, that have tried to provide for their families, and you go to the grocery store and your budget is whatever it is, and you're limited to what you can get, and your wife's just an eagle eye for sharp deals, and then you get behind the person that's got the SNAP card, and their card is just overflowing with stuff, and they're like, "Oh, okay, your final total is $14." Like, that's just...
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think a large group of people who are going without food and nutrition is good for society as a whole. So there should be some sort of welfare for those who really need it, in my opinion.
That's
because
the key, those who really need it.
Yeah, for poverty can cause a lot of crime, a lot of issues, drug problems. But yeah, I agree. If you're going to be using government benefits, let's make sure that it's actual nutritious food.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I guess it gets kind of difficult when you define what that could be.
Yeah.
But I think we can all agree Skittles and Coke is probably not it,
Probably not. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on Talkback this morning. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. I had some comments for Jim. I mean, Steven.
What?
Call me Jim. Is it on purpose?
Yeah, it was on purpose.
Oh, my. Shots fired.
Listen, this discussion brings up the whole purpose and the whole essence of government. When we're concerned with a person's self-esteem because they're not going to have candy, it shows that we've been bumped way over to the left into socialism. The purpose of government is not to make sure everyone's self-esteem is equal. It's to make sure that the country runs smoothly. And in the land of opportunity, if you don't have what you want, then that's on you. Now, there are people who are genuinely impoverished. They're generally handicapped. They cannot do for themselves. And I have no problem with the safety net for those people. The SNAP reductions that have been implemented are for people who did not qualify for it. They were given it during the Democrats' reign of terror under Biden, where they were shoving people onto these rolls because they wanted them to become accustomed to the nanny state. And so when that's what bumps into our thinking that, they're not going to have the same, they're going to be embarrassed that they don't have the same when they go to school, then we're already there. And we have to understand that the help that comes from the state, first of all, it's supplanting what should come from the family and the church. But when a person needs help in doing what everyone else is able to do on their own, that person is not living a healthy life. They're not progressing in the way that a human should to achieve their potential, their God-given potential. And it's not the role of the government to baby everybody along and say, "Come on, honey, let's do what you need to do." It should be what Frederick Douglass said. Frederick Douglass was interviewed, and he said, they asked him, "Well, what should be done for all these poor slaves that are now turned out into the streets?" He said, "Do nothing for them." He said, "Our problem is that you try to do too much for us." He said, "If he does not work, let him not eat. Let his hunger pinch him." And what he meant was that give a man a chance or a woman the opportunity to succeed and then hold them to account for what they do. I mean, nobody buys your candy, do they? Either of y'all?
For us? No.
No, you buy your own. If you want candy, you buy your own. You probably don't eat it out. I know you're on a really good diet.
Oh, never.
Well, what I mean is if a person a healthy person cannot do for themselves or is not doing for themselves what everyone else is doing, then by giving them that money, by buying that candy for them, you only cement them in that situation. And that's what results in generational poverty. So we have to not wince when somebody's hunger pinches them, and we have to say that's a healthy situation right there. That person is embarrassed that they can't provide for their kids what other people are providing for their kids. So let's give them an opportunity. We have all kinds of programs in this country. There is no reason for anyone to not have what they want to get. So anyways, I mean, Stephen's a perfect example. Comes from a rural place. You didn't come from the middle of New York. You went out and sought, and you pursued, and you pushed yourself, and you grew, and you attained skills, and then you applied them. And now you're a thriving American, and we're all benefiting from that. When people work, the nation benefits, not when people's self-esteem is petted and coddled. So anyways, thanks for letting me rant. Y'all have a great day.
All right. Any thoughts?
Well, I didn't say that I agreed with we should all buy candies on EBT cards.
Right.
I was just saying that's the only mildly attractive argument that I've heard.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
But,
correct.
I mean, I don't know if I agree with we should let little Timmy starve because it's going to build his self-esteem or make him a better person down the road.
No,
that's not a reality.
I think you're saying it should be on the parents.
Oh, some parents just don't do it, man.
I know.
It doesn't matter. Those kids will starve, some of them.
No, I know. That's why they do like the backpack program, even like the food bank, because I remember doing stories about how they would give kids backpacks to take home over the weekend with food in them, because a lot of times for those kids, they'd go home and they would get no food until like Monday when they come back to school, which is abhorrent. That's completely on the parents.
And where does the food bank get a lot of their dollars? From the federal government.
Yeah.
And they have a pinch right now. I can tell you right now, the one here locally is in a pinch.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure it out. And the state dollars could be washing out too.
Right.
So I get it. I mean, it's just a different role of government that some people have, and I get both sides. It's tough.
I mean, the tough part is defining what true need is versus people that are gaming the system. And let's face it, there's a lot of gaming of the system. So I might add that video I saw, the woman there she was at least 100 pounds overweight. So she's certainly not starving.
I mean, a lot of people game the system in the capitalist society. Trump says he does it all the time. I didn't pay those taxes or whatever because I knew the system. I knew the right people. It happens all the time.
Sure. I mean, he's talking about...
So I don't think we should throw out a whole system or ideology just because of that.
Well, he's talking about with tax laws, what allows you to do deductions and things like that. I mean, you're stupid if you don't take advantage of it.
But so it's justifiable in that sense. If you're just...
I mean, if it legally allows you to avoid paying taxes, why would you pay them?
Okay, it's still not ethical.
You're not doing. No, it is. If it's the law that says, okay, your business can take these deductions for doing this, why would you not? That's just, to me, being a smart bit. I think that's a little different scenario than what I'm talking about with something like public benefits.
I guess so.
Okay, we need to take a break. Oh, hit the wrong thing. All right, hold on.
KSYL.
All of us have that one friend who can just light up the room with a smile. And sadly, how many of us are just a little bit envious of that friend? Well, here's the good news. The folks over at Today's Dental in Pineville can deliver that beautiful beaming smile. Over the years, hundreds of hopeful patients have visited and been completely satisfied. They've made getting dental implants an amazingly simple, low-anxiety procedure, one that's affordable for anyone's budget. The staff at Today's Dental go out of their way to make you feel comfortable with calming in-office IV sedation that's administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist. And their multiple finance options make the entire procedure truly affordable. Isn't it your turn to light up that room? Give Today's Dental a call at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talk back.
All right, we're back. Alan Stephen with you. Lively conversation. So I think
people are bored, a lot of our listeners, and they try and put me in liberal camp and then want to argue with me when I just said a lot of people argue that.
No, you're not.
You're not going to goad me into this.
No, but I know what you're saying. You feel like people like Trump in the billionaire camp have more advantages than the common person. But I think it's the difference between what a business is allowed to do versus an individual as a taxpayer. And yeah, there are all kinds of laws that have been written. And yeah, they probably have been written in ways that benefit people at the top, but it's not doing something illegal in most of those cases.
But neither is taking benefits that the government allows you to take.
Granted,
that's what I was trying to say.
Granted.
They might both be kind of unethical.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, here's the thing, though. Like, I'm just saying the sentiment is rising for a reason in America. Is because the wealthy keep getting if you want to call it socialism, more government, nanny state, whatever you want to call it. It's happening for a reason. Because the rich keep getting richer, and we, as Americans that are hardworking Americans, keep struggling, and it's getting more expensive to live, while the people at the top make more money. I'm not saying I'm offended by it. I'm not saying that's what I agree with, but there's a reason why you see the Mondamis, you see the AOCs, you see this, and why the left is going to go into that more of that realm. And I think a lot of billionaires realize is like, hey, as Americans struggle and we keep getting more money and more money and more money, it's going to be a French Revolution type situation. That sentiment will rise. I think that's why it's happening.
Right. The only thing is with people like Mondami and Elizabeth Warren is that they promise those things, but those things never can deliver. The only thing that's ever delivered has been when you look at America set up with a free enterprise system and the ability for people to be able to work, save their money, invest in things like property. That is what has created an unparalleled level of wealth compared to especially the rest of the world. If anything, government has screwed that up. I mean, if you go back to 1913 and the implementation of the Federal Reserve, the dollar has decreased, I believe it's 98% since then. That's been the biggest scam in the history of America, which I know people like Ron Paul have called out for years. He's 100% right. That has gamed the system more than anything and benefited a lot of the elites at the top, the rich, if you want to call them that. But the problem is, or the reality with that is, the Democrats have their favorite billionaires too. And
that's why they're having a reckoning right now, and you're seeing a different wave of that party coming through.
Yeah, but those people are also gaining from it. AOC, look at how much money she has now. She's no pauper. She's not giving her money to poor people. So these people are the biggest hypocrites because they'll cry it out and say, oh, it's hurting, but they take advantage of it just as much, if not more than anybody.
I think a lot of things with the government too is you're having the rich billionaires and the elitists spending money and influencing politicians.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course. That's always going on.
I think that's the problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, but how do you stop that? You know, there have been attempts to do it, but they're always going to work around it. Money at the end of the day is going to be what talks, for sure. Like our caller said the other day, money talks, the other stuff walks. But what I do like about the policies of President Trump, for example, is I believe he is trying to implement policies that can help the everyday average American do better. Inflation coming down, wages going up, Americans getting jobs versus people who are in the country here illegally, or in some cases, the kind of work visas that allows companies to hire them at a lower amount than it would be to hire an American worker. These are all issues that I think contribute to it for sure. And yeah, your younger generation is seeing a time now where it's harder to buy, and the interest rates being up makes it even harder. But again, I think so much of this you can trace back to just terrible government policies and decisions, where if just the free market were allowed to operate, I think it would be a lot better overall. I really do.
You're probably preaching to the choir. I'm just I'm just saying that the sentiment is rising for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening.
But that is scary, though, because that sentiment that's rising and is being tapped into and probably even manipulated will not lead to better outcomes. It just won't.
I think we always, one side of the right will say, like, well, it doesn't work. Look at Venezuela. Or it doesn't work. Look at Cuba. That's just not always the situation. There's different flavors of everything. I mean, they would say, look at Sweden. Look at Finland. We've operated and done some things differently there.
I was reading about those countries the other day. They're not exactly pure socialists.
No, but that's not what a lot of the politicians here are advocating for is pure communism. They're advocating for maybe, putting more government intervention into some sectors and letting the free market thrive. Like Sweden, for example, they tried socialism in the 70s and 80s, tanked the economy. And they're like, oh, we got to vote these socialists out. And so they used free market principles and socialized certain sectors of the economy, and they've done pretty well. But each country is different. Doesn't mean it's going to work in America.
Yeah.
But we all know socialism purely probably doesn't work. It doesn't work. Communism doesn't work. I'm just saying we can't just blanket use generalized terms like Venezuela. That's a whole different issue over there. We could talk about that for ages. That's a dictatorship.
I remember Vin Scully. And the second richest person in Venezuela is the president's daughter. That's what socialism gets you, folks. That's what Vin Scully said on the air one time.
I hear you.
Love Vin Scully. All right, quick break.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Hello, I'm Dr. Noah Miller. I'm the new guy at the clinics. I'm a family medicine physician from Vedrine, Louisiana, and I'm now accepting new patients. Call today for an appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care, on-site lab and x-ray as well. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics. 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or reach us online at theclinics.us. Looking forward to seeing you at the clinics.
Summertime in Cenla is here. Time to explore. Feeling adventurous? Go biking or hiking in the National Forest, or camping at the many recreation areas that offer canoeing, kayaking, boating, and fishing. Fun for the whole family. Check out the animals at the zoo, on a petting farm, or at a drive-through safari. Love golf? Then hit the links. And for those with the taste for freshness, don't miss our farmers market. Want more ideas? Go to explorealexandriapineville.com. 2 cities, 1 epic summer.
LSU sports dominate the field, the court, and the diamond. And at Advanced Office Systems, we're bringing that same championship spirit to businesses across Louisiana. From large organizations to school districts to privately owned businesses, we deliver top-tier Canon and Toshiba copiers with fast local service, cutting-edge security, and cost-effective solutions. If your office needs a winning game plan, team up with the pros who always deliver. Call Advanced Office Systems today, where performance meets championship service.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement, a $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-380-9012. 800-380-9012. Again, that's 800-380-9012.
A message from Israel Air Conditioning and Heating.
Yeah, my mama, she told me to pick up and call Israel Air.
She told me Israel Air. She told me.
She said they'll come running with comfort beyond compare.
fair price.
Because you know we're all about your comfort, no troubles. Call 442-6657. That's 442-6657. We're all about your comfort,
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, let's try to get one last call in here. Good morning, you're on Talkback. Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I just wanted to offer a slightly different perspective on the EBT and services that provided to people who are lower income. Going through a very contentious divorce. She's raising her 2 grandchildren, and she's applied for every service available out there, and she has only getting $200 a month in food stamps to provide for herself and her 2 grandchildren. She's been denied repeatedly for other services, and
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
AM 970, FM 104.9, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3, HD3, Alexandria.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Trump is set to meet with Vladimir Putin in the White House's latest bid to broker an end to the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin says their get-together could come in the next few days. The BBC's Steve Rosenberg has more from Moscow.
A short while ago, President Putin himself said that Russia had lots of friends in the world who could offer to be the venue, to be the location. For example, he said the United Arab Emirates, but we'll have to wait for confirmation of the venue.
President Trump's deadline for a ceasefire agreement is tomorrow. Mr. Trump's new tariffs went into effect this morning on more than 60 countries and the European Union. World markets are reacting not the way you might think. CBS's Ramy Inocencio is at the foreign desk.
Looking at Europe's 2 biggest indices right now, the German DAX and the CAC 40, they're both up near highs of the day. You might have thought that after this tariff news that they might have fallen, but again, it looks like investors were, for the most part, prepped. In Asia, a similar story. China markets closed higher there.
Still no word on a motive after a U.S. Army Sergeant, Cornelius Radford, allegedly opened fire on fellow soldiers at Fort Stewart in Georgia. Correspondent Skylar Henry is there.
Radford, age 28, reportedly used a personal handgun in the shooting of the 5 service members, all of whom were identified as Radford's co-workers.
All are in stable condition, and all are expected to recover.
The suspect was apprehended by the Army Criminal Investigative Division after being tackled to the ground by witnesses.
Radford's in pretrial confinement, awaiting charges. New report from the CDC says Americans are getting the majority of their calories these days from ultra-processed foods.
Those snacks, baked goods, sandwiches, and beverages loaded with sugar, sodium, and preservatives accounted for 55% of the calories Americans ate from August 2021 to August 2023. Ultra-processed foods have been linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular disease. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders thinks the ultra-processed food industry needs to be tamed like big tobacco was.
The Congress had the guts to say to the tobacco industry, you can't cause hundreds of thousands of people to die every year.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
A Latin jazz pioneer has died. Pianist, composer, and bandleader Eddie Palmieri was the first Latino to ever win a Grammy Award. He went on to win 7 more. Palmieri was born in Spanish Harlem and performed at Carnegie Hall when he was 11. His family says he died after an extended illness. Eddie Palmieri was 88. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
I'm Matt Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Your car steering wheel could be a ticking time bomb. At least 24 people have died and many more injured because their airbags fired shrapnel at them upon inflating. Tens of millions of cars have been recalled. If you suffered cuts that required stitches, hearing or vision loss, or broken bones, please contact us today. You could be owed money for medical bills and other damages.
Morgan & Morgan. Visit us at badairbags.com for an office near you. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Sean Burns. It's back to school time across much of Louisiana, so drivers need to watch out for the kids and buses on the roadways. Here's Andre Champagne.
State Police Trooper Eddie Thomas says when encountering a school bus, the red lights and the red octagon are not mere decorations. You'd better obey them or else.
All drivers must stop for school buses when the red lights are flashing and when the stop arm is extended, regardless of the direction of travel.
Thomas says those of you who drive your kids to school, if they're under a certain age, they do not belong in the front seat.
Louisiana law does require children under the age of 13 to ride in the back seat whenever possible.
I'm Andre Champagne.
Louisiana's birth rate is on the decline. Recent birth rates show the numbers down almost 11,000 since 2013. Allison Plyer, chief demographer at the data center in New Orleans, says that has a ripple effect.
It will have impacts on schools. It will have impacts on hospitals. It will have impacts on all kinds of institutions and facilities and businesses across the state.
LRN.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
Well, good morning. Our Thursday, pretty much a sunny day and hot. Afternoon highs near 95. That heat index about 101 for the afternoon high. And we could see an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, but only about a 20% chance of that. Winds out of the northeast at about 5 this afternoon. Tonight, clear skies down to 74. And tomorrow, really more of the same. Sunshine highs 95 and that chance of an afternoon shower. From the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2 of Talkback here on KSYL. Al Quartermont along with Stephen Maxwell. So glad that you could be with us here today. We appreciate you all so much. 442-8255 is our phone number, and State Treasurer John Fleming will be joining us shortly. He's driving up from Baton Rouge, so we'll get him in here as soon as he arrives. In the meantime, I'm sorry that we had to cut off that last caller at the top of the hour. Once that music hits, there's not much we can do, but man, she was making a tremendous point that I hear so many times from people, which is, here's an example, Stephen, of someone who is legitimately in need of help, and for whatever reason, they can't seem to access the services that other people just seem to get so easily, and that is frustrating.
Yeah, and it's something I really can't intellectually talk about too much. I've never used them, never been a part of them. I don't think my family ever has, as far as I know. So, but yeah, it's when you're doing anything with government with millions of people, it's probably hard to make it perfect.
What I would encourage, if that lady is still listening, is to have, I think she said it was her mother-in-law or someone, but anyway, they may reach out to places like the food bank that are willing to help in those kinds of situations and just do basically what you can in those situations.
No, for sure. Yeah. I'm sorry, I took the headphones out of there, and I'm thinking Jay's about to get mad at me. I was watching.
We have a headphone shortage in here, so we're trying to shift things around a little bit.
I broke one yesterday.
That's what it is. Okay. Well, anyway. So, yeah, that ended up being kind of a prime topic of conversation. And
I also dealing with SNAP in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. There's the SNAP Produce Bonus Program, I think is what it's called. You get 30 cents back
on the dollar, up to $25 a month if you buy fresh produce.
Oh, wow.
And Rapides Parish was added to the list of about 7 parishes.
I believe, and I know at one point it was this way, but I think it might still be this way, that you could use your SNAP benefits card at like the Alexandria Farmers Market.
Okay, I'm not sure. Maybe.
I know at one point you could. I'm not sure if they still have that as a provision. But again, and we just heard at the top of the hour news, they were just talking about, there was a study that showed that 55% of what Americans are eating right now are essentially is in the junk food category. So when you talk about making America healthy again, has to start with what we're putting into our bodies, for sure.
Speaking of which, you saw Secretary Kennedy. They're stopping the funding for a lot of the mRNA vaccine.
Yes, they are. Which I saw Bill Cassidy commented on that. He actually was critical of them doing that. So that'll be something that I wanted to ask John Fleming about. John Fleming is a doctor as well, and get his thoughts on that.
Okay.
So
we'll definitely talk about that, I'm sure. You know, it's a very polarizing issue, but
it is. But from what I saw, the reasoning for Kennedy doing that was, I mean, take for example the flu vaccine this last year. It actually had a negative effectiveness. In other words, if you got the vaccine, you were more likely to get the flu than if you didn't. So that just feels like wasted money.
Well, whether you agree with this or not, like he's putting his money where his mouth is. Like they said they were going to do this, is what he talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is what you should expect.
Right. And the mRNA vaccines have certainly been controversial, especially as they were used with the COVID vaccines. And I still feel like we have not gotten an honest assessment from anyone on what have been some of the potential side effects that people have suffered as a result.
And and I heard a doctor say this online. I probably should have said online. Everything on the internet's true. But it was like on one of the reputable sources. He goes, we don't throw out all antibiotics because some people have side effects of them. Like I gave my daughter amoxicillin and she broke out in a rash.
Yeah.
But it's still effective for a lot of people and it still gets the job done. That's just the nature of medicine, right?
True, but something like that has had way more time of being studied and tested.
Well, they say mRNA has been studied and tested.
But the man who invented it, that technology himself, has been against the use of it.
I'm not sticking up for it. It's such a scientific thing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's science.
But you can hear both sides. You can hear both arguments with the plenty of sources we have out there.
Right. And I think that's the key, is people should always take their health care into their own hands. Let's see. I'm just trying to find more about this. So it was a $500 million mRNA vaccine contract. All right. Hey, good morning. Good morning.
How's it going?
Good morning. Go ahead and have a seat.
Fleming just
Yeah, nice to see you, sir. Yeah, go ahead. We are already rolling this morning. So State Treasurer John Fleming joining us here on Talkback. And we have you want to go just turn that for right now? Okay. All right. Good morning, sir. Welcome on in.
Good morning. Yes.
Nice to have you with us
here.
here. Yeah, good to have you. So drove up from Baton Rouge this morning.
Did. Yeah.
Always let's get him more on that mic, Stephen. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I rolled out of bed at 5 a.m. so I could meet with you guys today
we
at
appreciate it.
10 a.m.
And you got a full schedule here today, too.
I do. I'm going to, we're going to be going all across South Louisiana and mid Louisiana. Probably get home tonight at midnight. So we're making the rounds throughout.
That's the campaign process.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being with us here today. Again, State Treasurer John Fleming, who has announced that he is running for the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Senator Bill Cassidy, who is running for re-election. So let's just start there. What made you want to jump into this race?
Well, there are a lot of things that have been going wrong in Washington, and we know that much of that were Democrats who've become socialist these days. Under President Biden, of course, we've just had so many different things that have been going wrong, government not really working for the people. But my concern has always been, as a conservative Republican, what about Republicans? Why do they oftentimes go along with some of these, what I think are not very good ideas? Of course, hark back to 2021, among other things, Senator Cassidy voted to convict President Trump in the second impeachment trial. When asked why, he said because he's guilty. And remember, he didn't vote to impeach him. He voted to convict him, which means that he had the opportunity to review all the evidence first and still voted to convict him. And what did the evidence say? Well, we know now that President Trump actually requested that there be 10,000 National Guards troops on January 6th. And that was refused by Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser and the chief of staff of the U.S. military. And so it was their fault. The blood is on their hands, unfortunately. And yet somehow they tried to frame President Trump for that. And fortunately, they fell short. And really, they weren't trying to remove him from office because he was already leaving because he had lost re-election, at least according to the polls. But what they really wanted to do is prevent him from running again. So even as recently as 2023, Senator Cassidy called for President Trump to drop out of the race. He did not want President Trump to be our next president. And look, in less than a year, look at all of the wonderful things that have happened now under President Trump. The big, new, beautiful bill, taxes cut. Our economy is about to take off like we've never seen before. We've closed the border now against, fentanyl and trafficking of humans and all of that. So Bill Cassidy stood in the way of that. And so consequently, I just think that he's totally out of sync with Louisiana. He's fully Washingtonian now. He raises his money 90% from Washington, not from Louisiana. So I think Louisiana's ready for a change. And so I'm standing ready to take over.
And you worked in Trump's administration, former congressman. Do you expect him to endorse you? Have you asked him yet?
He endorsed me for my current position, state treasurer. First of all, he can't really endorse at this point, and here's why. He has key appointees, over 100 appointees that he has got to get through Senate confirmation, and he doesn't need to be going against incumbents right now because he needs every vote he can get, a thin margin in both chambers. So I don't anticipate that if he does endorse anyone, that it will be this year. It will probably be next year. But I do know that he would like to see Cassidy replaced. There's no question about that. And the polls show that Louisianans want that as well.
That's true. Now, what Cassidy has been saying is he supported President Trump's nomination of RFK Jr., and if it hadn't been for him, that nomination doesn't get through. He was lockstep with the big, beautiful bill and was in on a lot of those meetings and was there for the signing and things like that. So the song that he's singing right now is that he and Trump have kind of gotten over the past and are working together now.
Well, again, I'll take you back. In his last reelection, he asked for and received Trump's endorsement for reelection. And then within a very short period of time, turned around and stabbed Trump in the back by voting to convict him. So can you trust Cassidy? There's already been a bill through the House. It failed, thank goodness, to impeach Trump. And if he's reelected, he'll have another 2-year opportunity to impeach Trump or vote to convict him. I just don't think that we can trust Senator Bill Cassidy because he's a fair weather friend. He's there when it helps him, when it benefits him, and he's not otherwise. So with regard to RFK Jr., he was the last holdout. They had to pressure him to vote for him, and he was a key vote because he's, of course, chairman of the Health Committee, which is where health care lies. But no, he prolonged the process and held out to the very last minute. But he knew if he had any chance at all to get reelected, he was going to have to support the confirmation of RFK Jr.
We're talking with John Fleming. He's the current state treasurer running for the U.S. Senate seat. We'll take a quick break and come back with more here on Talkback on KSY.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
The clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Vadrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics, 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BON Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BON Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
It's Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL.
And we are back. Alan Stephen with you, State Treasurer John Fleming, our guest, running for the U.S. Senate, and he is willing to take calls at 442-8255. I'm going to go back to something you were talking about, which is how President Trump needs to rely on these incumbents right now to get a lot of his nominations through. I mean, we're 6 months in, and there still are like 100 positions that are waiting. Now, something I read, is this true that basically the House and the Senate are bringing in enough members to like reconvene every 4 days, even though technically they're all out on vacation, so that Trump can't do the, what do they call the recess confirmation?
Recess confirmations. Yes, Trump has requested from Thune, who is the leader of the U.S. Senate, to let him do recess confirmations, recess appointments, I guess is the best term for it. And he's refused. The reason why he refuses is not because he wants to hold up people. The reason is that if it sets a precedent, that means that the Democrats can do it too. So, you know, the Senate is so delicately balanced on a lot of their legacy procedures that, you know, when they break ranks and with precedents, it can send things in a different direction they don't really want. So, but I know President Trump is frustrated because Schumer is holding up those appointees. Now, there's thousands of appointments that are ahead, but we're looking at about 100, 125 key appointments, things that still we can't really have good leadership in our departments in Washington until those jobs are filled. So once we get 100 or so, then it gets down to the assistant secretary and below, and those go much easier and much faster because those are not people who set policy when it comes to these departments.
That's why I think sometimes people get frustrated, because it seems like when the Democrats have control, whether it be the president, a lot of the Republicans will go along with it and help them get people appointed or confirmed. I mean, Ketanji Brown Jackson, that's a prime example where Republicans just kind of fell over instead of opposing more strongly someone who at this point seems not really qualified for the job.
It does appear that way. And I look at Buttigieg, who is head of the Department of Transportation. It was a disaster. He did absolutely nothing. And other departments just really went without leadership. And the Republicans had to go along with those confirmations. And so, as I say, look, Democrats do what Democrats do. We know that they've been overtaken by the socialists, and but Republicans can hold that back and really keep our country tight where it needs to be. But I get frustrated not with Democrats, but with Republicans who purport to be conservative and really are America first, and then they give in to these Democrats who want to have some of these really unqualified and ineligible people into office.
I wanted to ask you about Secretary Kennedy announced yesterday that they are going to be dropping some of the funding for the mRNA vaccines. Just want to get your thoughts on that with your background.
Well, to give you a little background on mRNA vaccines, this is a new concept, a new technology, and it's primarily designed not for vaccinations, but to treat cancer. What we want to do in the future is take proteins from that cancer mass that a person might have, even if it's metastatic. And we've had some success with this. And then we create a vaccine that will then target your immune system to go right at that cancer. And so if this works out, this technology in the long term, your cancer treatment may be to go get a shot once a week, and the cancer shrinks and dies. So that's what we're trying to do. Now, what Secretary Kennedy is saying is that we don't know enough about it to control it, and it could actually cause problems. And I don't know. I'm not that deep into that technology. I'm not that recent. So they are defunding a lot of activity in that space, mRNA vaccines, and we'll just have to see what comes from that.
Now, with that said, Robert Malone, the man who invented that technology, was recently appointed to the board where Kennedy had cleaned house and brought in all
vaccination
new people.
board.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So here is somebody who, he understands that technology better than anyone.
Right.
And he's been against how it was used for the COVID vaccine and flu vaccine and things like that.
Right. And I think that's the point they're making. It was not designed. It's messenger RNA. It's actually a code that you're injecting in the body to go into the cells of the human body to actually change the genetic code. And again, the original purpose of this is to treat cancer. And we believe one day that radiation therapy, chemotherapy may go away and be obsolete. And we just simply vaccinate a person with cancer and it cures their cancer. That's the goal here. How it got sidetracked into vaccinations is with COVID. They needed a vaccine to be developed quickly. And so they went to that. And that's why we had the Pfizer and Moderna. And it's controversial, yes. And all I tell people is, look, I do not believe in vaccine mandates. I believe that every person should choose whether or not they have a surgery, a medication, or a vaccine. That should be up to the individual, consulting their personal physician. And I think we need more research on vaccines. But as a physician who's treated patients for years, vaccines have saved hundreds of millions of lives over the decades. And so while we try to continue to research and keep it safe, we're much better off being vaccinated than not. But there's no guarantee you won't have side effects, and sometimes severe side effects from vaccines.
I saw Cassidy posted to Twitter yesterday, or X. It's unfortunate that the secretary just canceled $500 million worth of work, wasting the money which is already invested. He has also conceded to China an important technology needed to combat cancer and infectious disease. President Trump wants to make America healthy again and make America great again. This works against both of President Trump's goals.
Right. And again, I want to get more information on it because I'm not sure what Secretary Kennedy's concerns are. I'd love to know more about that. But I did see his statement. It was posted, and he did make the statement there's some fear and concern among researchers that there may be dangers to this technology. So if we've got to vet that out and make sure that it's perfectly safe for human use, I'm okay with that.
Fair enough.
We can get into carbon capture, might blow up the phone lines. So,
true.
Yeah, so you kind of spoke out against the eminent domain aspect of it.
Yes. Carbon capture and sequestration, of course, is a very hot topic, particularly in this part of the state. And it kind of crept up on everybody. The legislature has been passing laws to put this in place and to bring in eminent domain, at least since 2020. And people are waking up to that fact. And what do we know about it? Well, it's a concentration of carbon dioxide that's given off in the processing of oil and gas. And supposedly something has to be done with it. Well, it just happens that Lee Zeldin, who I know, I served with him in Congress, just announced that he's removing or repealing the endangerment finding on carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So if the EPA doesn't think that release of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is a danger, then why are we sequestering it and pushing it deep into the ground? There have been accidents with that, and there have been deaths as a result of carbon dioxide release, because in a concentrated form, it will actually replace the oxygen in your lungs. There was one incident in Nios, Africa, in which it was buried underneath a lake. There was a seismic event. It was released, 1,700 humans, and their farm animals were killed within minutes as a result of that. So this is not an innocuous substance. It's not the carbon dioxide in your Coke. It has to be really handled well, and the plume underneath the ground can seep into your water supply, which also can create carbonic acid, which is corrosive. And then also you can't drill through it. So that plume, once it's there, can cut off your mineral rights. And then, as you say, the biggest thing, and we polled this, 90% of Louisianans are opposed to the eminent domain powers that are given to these very wealthy companies like ExxonMobil, that they can come in and take control of your land, and you may not even be reimbursed in any way, and it could devalue your land. So I'm 100% opposed to carbon capture and sequestration, but I've always been against climate change schemes that use taxpayer money. You want to put a solar panel on your house at your cost, I say go to it. If you want wind turbines and you're willing to pay for it, but not make me as a taxpayer pay for it, fine. They're failed technologies, but if that's what you want, fine, if you're willing to pay for it. But this is something different. This is not necessary, again, because Lee Zeldin, our EPA administrator, says so. And then number two, who's going to pay for it? Taxpayers through the 45Q tax credits, which has been passed through federal law. And so I would have to say that, in fact, all of the people running for the U.S. Senate, including Senator Cassidy, are actually in favor of carbon capture. They've actually voted for it. All of the primary, I would say, major candidates for this, except for me. I'm the only one who's 100% opposed, and I'm certainly opposed to the use of eminent domain to take control of one's land, to put this underneath them. And look, eminent domain has a purpose, and the purpose is so that an individual citizen does not hold back progress for society, such as building a highway or something like that. But in this case, it's a private company taking control of your land and devaluing it potentially. And I'm totally against that, and so are 90% of Louisianans that we've polled.
Yeah, I know Sammy Wyatt is very much against it as well. But I'm assuming you're referring to Blake Miguez, who was in the legislature when they passed some of those laws a couple years ago.
I don't want to name names.
Sure.
I will say this, the legislature passed over and over and over.
Yeah, until people became aware of it.
Right, until people became aware of it.
And then the law, the bills which would have limited that or reversed that failed in this latest legislation.
Exactly. So the legislature is not serious about repealing this, unfortunately. And Senator Cassidy, he's on record as being totally in support. It's part of his energy plan. In fact, there's a video we're going to put out where in 2022, he was complaining that the EPA was not giving out permits fast enough for carbon sequestration in Louisiana, that he was actually complaining that things are not moving fast enough. And once again, it just went unnoticed by the people of Louisiana.
Q45, my understanding was in the big, beautiful bill, the House version, that they had taken those out, but then the Senate put those back in? Yes.
The big, beautiful bill, of course, was a huge compromise bill, as it always is.
Sure.
And there are moderates, we could call them rhino Republicans, who insisted that stayed in the bill, even though I think many Republicans would want it out. But I can tell you, and I've made this pledge already, that if I'm elected to the U.S. Senate, the first bill I will author and get passed through will be the full defunding, if not repealing altogether, of the 45Q tax credits. Without those, all projects end immediately when it comes to carbon sequestration and capture and sequestration.
One last point on this, the Canadian wildfires right now are producing way more carbon than we ever would hope to.
Well, look, China and India are starting up a coal-fired energy plant every week.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to do when we have made Louisiana into a pincushion and we've stuffed all the carbon we can find, carbon dioxide we can find underneath? Where do we go then? This is just really an idiotic idea. It's a scam. and it's costing taxpayers money when we can ill afford it. Our national debt has skyrocketed from $11 trillion from George Washington to George Bush 43, the second George Bush. It skyrocketed from $11 trillion to $37 trillion, almost 4 times. And it's with this kind of wasteful, crazy, idiotic spending that's got us here.
All right. State Treasurer John Fleming, our guest. We need to take another break. More coming up here on Talkback, so stay with us.
You too could have a beautiful smile in as little as 12 weeks. Exclusive to Today's Dental in Pineville, Virtual Align Clear Aligners. The fastest, most convenient, affordable way to straighten your teeth for people on the go. Plus, they're invisible. No one will know you're doing it. Experience the Virtual Align difference. Call Today's Dental at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. 448-4540.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay, get GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Well, good morning. Our Thursday, pretty much a sunny day and hot. Afternoon highs near 95. That heat index about 101 for the afternoon high. And we could see an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, but only about a 20% chance of that. Winds out of the northeast at about 5 this afternoon. Tonight, clear skies down to 74. And tomorrow, really more of the same. Sunshine highs 95 and that chance of an afternoon shower. From the Zenlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dave Gratian.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we are back once again. State Treasurer John Fleming, our guest, 442-8255, the number on the BOM Bank talk line. Another major topic right now across the country happens to be redistricting, the issue of gerrymandering, which Texas is front and center right now, but Louisiana, certainly we've had a lot of discussion about this over the last year or so. We had a special session a while back, which kind of rearranged the districts and allowed for a second, what they call majority-minority district, and led to Cleo Fields winning that seat, even though the district runs from Baton Rouge to Shreveport through Alexandria. That is no question was gerrymandered for minority purposes. Now that potentially goes before the Supreme Court. So just give us your thoughts on all that and where we're heading with this.
Sure. There was litigation of the current map, and it went to a judge who's Judge Dickey, who was an appointee from a Democrat president. I'm not sure which, Biden, maybe Clinton, I don't remember. Anyway, she said that it should be racially gerrymandered, and that they needed to redo it. And so after our governor was and legislature were elected, that was one of the first things they did was to make that into a Democrat district. However, under the Voters' Rights Act, which goes back to the 60s, there are a lot of reasons why you can gerrymander. One is to keep a politician in office that the state wants to keep in office. Compactness, same community, many, many different reasons. But the one thing you can't do is gerrymander based on race. And this was done based on race, which is why it's in the Supreme Court today. It lost at the appellate level, which means that, well, I should say the plaintiffs, which are the citizens of Louisiana, they won at the appellate level, and now it's in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is giving signals all over the place that they are going to rule that this is unconstitutional and violates the Voter Rights Act, and that that it's going to go back to the legislature, and they're going to be told that you cannot make this map have such a crazy, sinuous, snake-like congressional district that goes all the way from Baton Rouge to Shreveport.
Yeah.
That violates every other tenet, and it holds to the one tenet that's illegal and unconstitutional. And why that was done, you can only speculate what the reason for that was, but the bottom line is the Supreme Court is not only going to come down on Louisiana, but probably rule against this sort of behavior that's been going on in many states for quite some time, and nobody's really paid much attention to it. And so you may see redistricting occurring in the next couple of years among many states, both Republican and Democrat-leaning states.
We talked to Congressman Fields a couple days ago. I did. And he argues that it was drawn on political lines because they didn't want to affect Speaker Johnson. They didn't want to affect certain Congress people. You don't think that's going to hold up in court?
No, the excuse they give is that the governor was mad at Garrett Graves, who was a popular congressman in this 6th district, and that because he encouraged somebody else to run against Jeff, that for some reason Jeff was retaliating against him. I don't buy that argument. I think it goes much deeper than that, and I can only speculate, which I won't do on the radio. But the point being, the governor decided that he wanted Cleo Fields, a district, which again occurred back in the 90s, and it was ruled unconstitutional then.
Mm-hmm.
But the legislature went totally hat in hand to get behind this as well. And I just question, why are we doing this when we have such a small margin in both chambers in the U.S. Congress?
Right.
And remember that the big, beautiful bill, which is so key to our future here in our economy for the next 5 to 10 years, it passed by one vote in the House.
Mm-hmm.
That's how slim the margin is. So why are Republicans, and we have a huge supermajority of Republicans in the legislature,
right,
why are Republicans creating Democrat congressional districts? You won't find any Democrat legislatures creating Republican districts. Trust me on that one.
Yeah, for sure. And, I've heard Moon talk about this topic a lot, especially over the last few weeks. And he maintains that a lot of the people that voted for this now regret it. At least they're saying that they regret it. But it might, in the end, work out if the Supreme Court takes this up. Now, I've also heard the Supreme Court is looking at possibly overturning its Section 2 of the Civil Rights Act. Have you seen that as well?
I haven't heard that specifically.
Okay.
What they're saying is that the current map, the Cleo Fields map of congressional district, violates the 14th and 15th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to go back and read up on Section 2 of the VRA, but the point being that the one thing that was clear, I mean, again, this goes back to the Jim Crow days in the southern states, where they created maps based on race
to favor white people.
Whites.
Yeah. So like everything else, it's been stood on its head.
Exactly.
Now.
So it's as though, it's okay to do it for black Democrats, but it's not okay to do it for white Republicans. Well, again, that's not equal treatment under the law.
Right.
So that's a violation of the Constitution. So if we're not going to do it on race, then we should. Then it shouldn't be done for black Democrats any more than it should be done for white Republicans. And again, we're finding that more and more African Americans are joining the Republican Party and leaving the Democrat Party.
That's true, yeah.
So, in that race, Cleo Fields, Elbert Guillory came within a hairbreadth of winning, and he is a black Republican.
Right.
And that would have been really wonderful if he had won that. But still, being a Republican, just because he's Republican, that district should not be there for a black or white person. It should be there for somebody who serves the people regardless of race.
I believe Secretary Landry has said that this would have to be done if the Supreme Court is going to overturn this district. Wasn't it by like the end of August? Was
she said September.
September.
Now,
okay.
I think that can be stretched a little bit.
Yeah.
There are going to be oral arguments in the Supreme Court there's already been one set of oral arguments, and they decided, instead of ruling, they decided to expand this to the entire country.
Right.
So there's going to be oral arguments in August, and then there are going to be another set of oral arguments in September. And hopefully they'll rule quite quickly, and hopefully in time that this map can be sent back to the legislature. But remember, if they strike it down as being unconstitutional, as a violation of the Voters' Rights Act, it's still in danger of getting fouled up as well. We really need to go back where it was. It was fine where it was. And I'm not promoting Garrett Graves. I mean, I just think that it should be fair to all those who are in the district and all those who would run for Congress in that district. And we should not have a situation where we are somehow force-feeding a congressional district to the Democrat Party when we don't have to, because we're definitely a majority Republican state. You won't find states like Massachusetts, Illinois, California doing this for the benefit of Republicans. So no wonder we have such a slim margin in the House of Representatives.
All right, we need to take a break.
KSYL. Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Cenla's best at Bricado's restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt in your mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricado's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
Tired of being bored?
Then get up off the couch and come see Cenla.
Got an event coming up this summer? Log on to explorealexandriapineville.com and post your info on their events calendar. Let everybody know what you've got going on for free.
Ready to laugh? Then come to Huckleberry Brewing Company on Friday night, August 8th, and catch New York comedian Neil Rubenstein. He's a hoot. Get the details on Huckleberry Brewing's Facebook page.
Let's get ready to rumble! Wrestling for Warriors is coming to the Alexandria Convention Center on Saturday, August the 16th. It's a family-friendly event that gives back to our veterans. Get the details at United Wrestling Entertainment.
Mark your calendar. Thursday, August 21st is the Alexandria Ducks Unlimited Banquet with everyone's favorite Cajun chef, Stale Cracker, at the Randolph Riverfront Center. Tickets and tables available now.
Cenla Broadcasting.
Keeping you informed.
To take part of the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. Now back to Talk Back.
All right, we're back, and we're visiting with State Treasurer John Fleming, candidate for U.S. Senate, coming up in 2026. Been covering a range of topics. Just before we move on from the whole issue of gerrymandering, what do you think? I mean, because we're seeing this around the whole country now as the Democrats have left Texas to reside in Illinois. The irony is that Illinois is one of the worst gerrymandered states to benefit Democrats. States like Massachusetts, I saw that whole block out on the east coast of New England has virtually no Republican representation, even though, you know, there are people that live there.
Yeah.
So what would be the best way to map out congressional districts, do you think?
It has to be a political process because that's what the Constitution says. The power is in the hands of each state legislature. Now, some of them will appoint a commission, but I think that's a very bad idea because it's supposed to take it into the non-political realm. But, you know, I defy anybody to find 5 or 10 people and put them ahead of a commission, and it isn't about politics. So the truth is that that's the fair and the most honest way to do it is to keep it in the hands of the legislature. And when this is struck down by the Supreme Court, it's going to go back to our legislature. And as you say, there are some who've commented that they regret having supported this Democrat map. But we'll see what they actually do. Because there's still ways that they can really foul this up if they don't, you know, come together. But I think that's the reason why the people who vote them in office should hold them accountable, just like they should hold me accountable when I'm in the Senate, when I was in the House for 8 years, in Congressional District 4, that if I tell you, you know, that I'm for this and I support this and I'm going to do this, hold me accountable. You know, I will answer for my actions, my votes, And I just don't think excuses like, well, I just didn't know better, or I didn't understand, or the governor told me to do it. I just don't think those are reasonable excuses for having overwhelmingly voted in a Democrat congressional district, and one that's truly violates the Voter Rights Act.
When you were a House representative, you were the 4th district, right? Which currently is what Mike Johnson
That is
holds.
correct.
And you look at that district, how that's even changed, where basically it goes around what is the 6th district now.
Yeah.
And that's just such a weird shape, too.
Right. Well, again, back to Cleo Fields, the 6th district, it's a slash that cuts right in the middle of Mike Johnson's district. So Mike Johnson, when he travels around his district, he's got to go in and out and through the 6th district.
Yeah.
And people are frankly confused about who their congressman is. So
that's right.
Again, that gets away from community and compactness. You want to have, whether it's like the Baton Rouge area or Acadiana and Lake Charles, you want to have compactness in these things where people have common origins and they have common ideas and ideals and goals. And this completely blows that out of water.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, parts of Natchitoches and Baton Rouge, I don't know how much they really have in common, to be honest with you. You could argue the same thing, though, about the 4th district. I mean, I don't know what Leesville has in common with Shreveport, It's just tough to really draw these things, completely fairly.
It is. I mean, when you're losing population at the rate that we are losing, we've lost 2 congressional districts in modern times, and we're going to lose another one in 5 years if we don't turn this around. What happens is you have to, in order to have the requisite number of people, which right now is around 750,000 in population, you do have to stretch across into other communities. You have no choice, because each congressional district across the country has got to have very close to the same number of people. You can't get away from.
I was saying yesterday, I think the best way to address Louisiana's maybe districting problem, if there is one, is to make it more attractive and have people move here. And we can have more condensed districts.
Well, that's true, but the way to attract people here is to cut or remove our personal income taxes, actually have tort reform where our insurance rates are reasonable, bring companies here and bring jobs here, and people will stay. They won't leave the state. So it goes deep and fundamental, and unfortunately, just carving up congressional districts is not going to be enough.
I think, Steve and I were just talking about it in our first hour this morning. People are feeling more and more economic pressure. Certainly inflation was crushing the last few years. And while a lot of the policies of President Trump are starting to mitigate against that, still for a lot of the average American, the money's not going as far as it used to. People are entertaining ideas like we talked about in the first hour. When you look at what's happening in New York, more socialist direction.
Right.
How do you view things from an economic standpoint? Do you see President Trump's policies maybe trying to rebuild a middle class that has been almost decimated?
I really do. And let me just say this right off the bat. I've made this statement before, and I truly believe it. This is the most consequential president in this term that we've had since FDR, since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He has done more change in less than a year than any president in 8 years that I can think of, going all the way back to Roosevelt. And what he has done is put in place a future economy that's going to be unbelievable. He made permanent tax cuts that were about to expire. He stopped tax increases that were about to occur. He's brought back some of the business tax deductions that are going to be very, very important to raise capital, to invest for new businesses, therefore more employment. And now he's balanced trade, or in the process of balancing trade through tariffs, something no president has done in modern times. And the only thing we lack is to reduce the interest rates where they need to be. And Jerome Powell, he's mad at Trump, so he's not going to cut those rates. But I do believe that he's going to eventually have to. He's going to be forced to, because there is no reason to keep the rates up where they are. And as soon as they start coming down, I think you're going to see the biggest boom in the economy in our lifetimes.
That sounds all right with me. All right. Last break, and we'll come back and wrap things up with John Fleming.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Imagine walking where land meets sea, where every step echoes centuries of stories. This is the Portuguese coastal Camino de Santiago. From Porto's riverside charm to Galicia's wild coast, follow a path through fishing villages, ancient chapels, and windswept beaches. Walk the Camino. Feel the call. It's more than a journey, it's a transformation. Join our small group, escorted by Christine and Father Joy in May of 2026. FreedomTravelLLC.com, your international travel architects.
Tired of noisy neighbors? Want to keep pets in and problems out? Sounds like you need a Promo Fence. At Promo Fencing and Lawn Care, our fences don't just work, they wow. From classic cedar and pine privacy fences to durable chain link, sleek metal, and aluminum, even decorative fencing. We've got something for every home, yard, or business, big or small, residential or commercial. All with free estimates, expert installs, and small town customer care. Promo Fencing and Lawn Care. Fences that feel like home.
All right, time for our last segment with State Treasurer John Fleming, again, candidate for U.S. Senate coming up in 2026. We got about 5 minutes left. Still time if you'd like to call in and have a question, 442-8255. One thing I've noticed about President Trump is he seems very effective at using economic pressure to try to reach certain goals. So, for example, even domestically, put some pressure on Apple with regards to bringing jobs back to America. And then you saw in the White House yesterday just kind of an incredible moment when the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, was listing these things that they're doing, and Trump was just kind of standing there listening like, yep.
Right.
Versus also internationally. And now he's putting economic pressure on India, Russia, to try to resolve the Russia-Ukraine situation.
Yes, he really brings to bear the old term of making an offer that you can't refuse, right? So what did he do with the tariffs? He said, either deal with us or we're going to 35% or higher on your tariffs. And he just waited for people to come to him and cut a deal, most of them getting down to 15%.
Right.
I encourage everyone to read his book, The Art of the Deal. I read it decades ago, and he never goes straight for anything. He always does these bank shots. You know, he's going one direction, and you're trying to work with him in that way, but you find out what he's really wanting later on. But by then, he's positioned you in a way that you want to actually cut a deal with him. So it's not like he's forcing people to do this. You see how enthusiastic these countries are when they cut a deal. And in some cases, we're charging them tariffs, and they're not charging us any tariffs.
Yeah.
But they're getting something else. So he truly is the genius of the deal. And how many times have you heard people say, we only had a businessman who is serving in office or in the presidential Oval Office, and yet we never do it. We always get career politicians. Well, now we have a businessman, and he's doing business deals, and he's doing it on behalf of the country, which is why we call it America First. So I just think you have to be a little patient and understand that what he does sometimes seems bizarre, but look at the results, and it turns out to be very, very logical when you get to the actual deal.
Yeah, like the deal he cut with the European Union. I mean, incredible. You don't hear a lot about it. Unfortunately, the national media is not, to me, a fair broker in a lot of these, in a lot of its coverage of him and the things that he's doing. And you're starting to see the impact because I think, wasn't it last month, for the first time ever, our revenue collected was larger than the amount of money we sent out as a nation?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a lot more of that. Remember that NATO for decades was never paying the countries in Europe. Were paying their fair share.
Yeah.
Look, they've been fighting each other for centuries, and we're the ones paying to keep them quiet and not battling each other and against Russia. So, but he demands that they put in their 5% like everybody else, and by golly, they've done that. What he's doing now, I think, and I've expected him to do this, is to steal Russia's oil business. See, Russia without oil and vodka, they don't have any business, no commerce.
Right.
So by stealing the oil business, what's going to happen is Putin will be bankrupt and he won't be able to have war with Ukraine. That's the way this should have been done all along. Wasting our wealth and wasting not really persons, because we're not sending troops, but look at the millions of troops over there, Ukraine and Russian, who've died as a result of a stupid war, when all we have to do is steal the oil business and Putin goes away.
And we're not sending billions of dollars anymore like we have.
Yes, that is correct. And that's a good thing. But we're still going to stop that war, even though we've stopped wasting our money to fight.
Al, you mean they'd rather talk about American Eagle jean ads than economic issues?
Imagine that.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. I'll ask you about that.
Yeah, thank you. John Fleming, he's going to be at the event at Journey Church coming up at 11 o'clock. It's Community Appreciation Dinner, so we'll see you over there. Thanks for stopping in. We'd love to have you in again anytime.
Great, gentlemen. Anytime. Just let me know.
All right. You can find him on Facebook, Fleming for Louisiana. Thanks, everyone. It'll be Nathan and Stephen tomorrow and Monday and Tuesday. So I'll be back on Wednesday.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed